Hi, friends, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Ryan Abair, and this is where I share my insights. And today I'm feeling compelled to talk about faith. And I want to talk about it openly, without it being twisted up in religion and God, and to make it practical and easy, and something to reconsider if you are one who does not practice religion. I think faith can work both in a secular and a sacred viewpoint. But we have to take a closer look at what faith is. It's hard to define, but it's something that we can rely upon. So we're calling this Faith Made Easy. Stick around. No matter how hard you try, you'll never be able to protect yourself from the uncertainty of something we call the future. And if you look at the way we live, that's exactly what we're trying to do. Basically, we have taken the future and turned it into an enemy. And we have totally consumed ourselves in getting a leg up on the story. How can you get a leg up on the story when you're creating the story and the future is the story? So the future is a preconceived notion of what might happen. And many of us are swept out to sea. We are scared of what might occur. And this pull into the future is a struggle of faith. It's this notion that I have to know. And if I don't know, I'll create all sorts of safeguards around me by way of walling myself in, hoarding goods, telling myself a story of it's all going to be okay. I'll get through it. Those are all platitudes and statements about the unknown. So you feel this draw into the story of the future. And technology has given us a false sense of security. We can see on our Ring doorbells the whole neighborhood. We can check in on any news outlet and see what's going on in the world. We can always check our bank accounts. We can always go into crypto or Swiss bank accounts. There's so many ways to slip in a false sense of security. Always getting a leg up on the superior intelligence of the universe. Something called the future. So I believe that our paranoia is simply just a preoccupation of what is coming next. And so religion tries to organize faith and make it into some kind of structured thing. But it doesn't seem to be working because, to me, the scaredest people are those who are in the pews. Forgive me if I insult your religious sensibilities, but I spent 30 years in the church seeing how afraid people were and seeing how churches build armies, build financial foundations. They build their gods trying to protect themselves from the unknowability of the future. I didn't see a lot of faith practice in the church, at least where I was. My personal trainer was very much in search for spiritual freedom, and he was going to a evangelical church here in the town I am in, and he said all they did was ask for money. It was like they were just desperate for money. That's all they ever asked for, money. And asking for money is a desperate plea to protect themselves. Building for the future. This is where we've lost our faith. That everything seems to be put off one day. And I know what it's like to have lost my faith. I don't even know if I had any. So what is it exactly that makes one feel at ease? You are never more truly yourself than when you're not thinking about the future. And faith is practiced first thing in the morning. To me, I'm recording this podcast, in case you're wondering. I'm recording it on Saturday. The current time is 3:12 a.m. I don't know why I get up in the middle of the twilight, in the middle of the night, if you will. But these things feel so compelling to me. They're on the tip of my tongue. And I am never more clear than first thing in the morning. This is where you reconnect to that space that's called presence. And in those moments of clarity, your mind is healing. And faith is a way of life. Like dieting is a way of life. If dieting is temporary, meaning you're just going to go on a crash diet, it won't last. If you think of dieting as eating nutritiously and in a calorie restriction for a temporary period, you'll go back to junk food in no time. But if dieting becomes a way of life, and it's practiced daily, you dial it in. So none of what you do is a means to an end. None of it. For example, this particular podcast episode is nowhere near the end. This is just a stepping stone to more and more insight. This is my practice. So those of you who've been watching or listening, you may hear an evolution in my teaching, which is wonderful. Because what you're doing is you're seeing how my insights are flowering. I've been doing my YouTube channel now for a year, and I see it growing in insight and depth, which is wonderful. And so I like to also equate it with physical training. 2 years ago, I hired a personal trainer. And that personal trainer, you are paying someone to put your body under stressful situations. And how do they teach you to do this? With good technique. I'm going to place your body in this very uncomfortable and weighty environment, and you're going to breathe through it, and you're going to have good technique, and you're going to practice your technique. So as I've gotten better at weightlifting, wrist position, back position, keeping the shoulder blades pinched, and keep complete and total poise, the body responds to the stress, and it has begun to build. In the same way as if you want to lean out, I'm working on leaning out my body right now. So I'm about 18% body fat, beginning to see things cut through. The abdominal muscles are coming in. All these things, it's fine-tuned. You don't get there and stop. There's no such thing as getting there and stopping. So faith is not something that you build in like a savings account. It's dialed in and practiced. It is a way of life. Those of you who practice physical fitness, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You are a weightlifter forever. Even if you were to go into a competition, that is just a stepping stone to the next one. Just checking in. So faith is a checking in to the clarity of the mind and body. How clear are you about the present moment? How unbothered is your mind? How open is your heart? That is not to say that fear does not creep in, or that you are protected from any of life's demands. A sickness, an illness, aging, fear, all these things creep in. And faith is a daily practice of mind clearing, body clearing, so that you are slow to anger, slow to bang it out, slow to react. When you're in the gym and you have a bar over your shoulders and you try to bang it out, you are looking for injury. Each repetition is a new birth, a renewal of attentiveness, if you will. If you're doing a bunch of repetitions, you have to reset yourself each time you do that exercise. You are training yourself to remember the movement. And faith is a training ground to remember to be slow to anger, slow to react, slow to retaliate against your enemies, slow to getting all hot and bothered about the so-called future, but then to get very comfortable with it every morning. See, a lot of us begin our days by putting out fires, getting into this quasi-omniscience of seeing the world, which looks like a mess. And getting into our checklists and to-do, we do not check in with our true self, which is that part of you that does not think in words. And to commune in that beautiful space of non-thought, non-reactivity. Relax and release. Why? If there's no means to an end in practicing faith, why? Because of the same reasons why you practice dieting, and you practice exercise, and you practice music, and you practice dance. To remain in that space of openness to rely on a technique when the shit hits the fan, to hope in yourself that you will not be the one to pull the trigger on more violence in the world. Faith takes a stance of non-reactivity, non-judgment, non-violence. Are we always successful at it? No. But it puts this clarity on the forefront and does not perpetuate fear. You don't surround yourself with security detail. You don't surround yourself with hordes of money and wall yourself into a little false sense of security. Why? Because the enemy is like a weed. It comes in to the walls that you build of false security. Check yourself. Are you hoarding, saving, preserving, and clinging? If you are, then faith practice needs to come in. You are consumed in a world of words. That's all it is. It's that simple. It is coming back to the wordless presence of the eternal now. So that if you are thrown into the furnace, a situation that can seem provocative, you'll be slow to react, and you will place that comportment and poise in front of you always. You may be called into a hotbed of contention, which you will not extinguish with reactivity. The only way to douse it is for you not to be pulled into it, not to be pulled into the negativity at the water cooler, not to be pulled into the negativity of the news, not to be pulled into the negativity of your friends who tell you you're going to do, I had a little, not a run-in with my best friend, but something that sort of hit the guardrails when he said, you're going to run out of money if you don't start making money. I haven't had an income for now going on 3 years. And you see fear trying to tempt you to react. But fear can be kept on the back burner in the same way that a bodybuilder keeps weakness and injury on the back burner by having good technique. That's not to say that bodybuilders don't injure themselves or athletes don't, but they recover quickly from it. Faith helps you recover quickly from these things that seem to be pulling you back. You'll catch yourself spinning your wheels in the future. You'll catch yourself reacting before you pounce, before you say something that escalates the situation. Faith is a technique of non-reactivity because you come to it every day. It's like practicing your scales for a musician. That's why they say we practice faith. This is what we need. We need more people who are not provoked by any kind of violence of any kind. It starts with your critic. If your critic provokes you and you want to retaliate, your faith is weak. And you are the critic. You are creating that conflict within yourself. So there is a separation of conflict, reactivity, judgment, and there's a cushion of space. That's what it is. Faith is a cushion of faith, a practice that you rely on, especially if you feel yourself wanting to pounce and retaliate. It is an ability to catch yourself getting in the mire of conflict and remaining comported. You may be hooked in sometime and go off the deep end, lose your shit. That's fine. We all have slip-ups. But your technique is practiced every single day. You come back to the silence. You come back to the practice of communing with yourself. And you build that trust. Not externally. It is not a contrived thing where you build bank accounts, you build empires, you build walls, physical structures. This is a non-physical structure that is practiced daily. It is the practice of not being afraid. Fear has no chance against a wordless mind and a relaxed body. And that's what goes first. Comported, effortless, relaxed, no time constraints. There's a wonderful hymn. It's called Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing. It says, daily I'm constrained to be. A lot of us wake up and grab it. Seize it. Conquer it. Get going. Daily I'm constrained to be, and you work to feel that open, spacious clearing first. You commune in that space first. You develop a larger cushion for the impact, so that you don't brace yourself necessarily, but you have good technique to catch yourself retaliating against that which feels like it's attacking you. That's faith. Daily practiced. Good technique. Give it a try. My name is Ryan Hebert. I hope you enjoyed these insights. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com.